The Horn of Africa is often depicted as a volatile and chaotic region. But what if I told you there's a country here that's thriving and becoming a key player on the global stage? It's not Somalia or Ethiopia, but the little neighbor, Kenya. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how Kenya is positioning itself as a major ally of the United States in Africa. If you're new here, welcome to our channel. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our latest episodes. Kenya's strategic value to the U.S. is best illustrated through the lens of the U.S. Africa Command, otherwise known as AFRICOM. Established in 2007, AFRICOM's mission, according to its official website, is to build lasting relationships with African partners to promote peace and security. At the core of this mission is General Michael Langley, the first black four-star general in the U.S. Marine Corps. He assumed command of AFRICOM in August 2022, marking a historic milestone and bringing him closer to the African continent. General Langley's recent visit to Kenya underscores the deepening military ties between Nairobi and Washington. During his trip, he held high-level meetings with Kenyan officials, toured military facilities, and engaged in discussions about regional security challenges. Let's rewind back to July, when General Langley paid a visit to Kenya, his first official stop in sub-Saharan Africa since taking office. What was the purpose of his journey? In essence, to foster military ties between the United States and Kenya. Now, let's take a look at the mechanics of their cooperation. Kenya serves as a crucial logistical hub for U.S. military operations on the continent. In fact, the U.S. military has established a significant presence in Kenya, most notably at Camp Simba in Lamu County. This base serves as a strategic cornerstone for missions targeting militant groups like Al-Shabaab in neighboring Somalia. However, the path to security hasn't been without its challenges. A notable incident occurred in January 2020, when Al-Shabaab militants launched a deadly attack on Camp Simba, tragically resulting in the loss of 3 Americans, 2 U.S. soldiers, and 1 U.S. contractor. The attack prompted heightened security measures and a reassessment of strategies. General Langley's approach, often referred to as the 3Ds, diplomacy and development, seeks to establish lasting relationships that fortify security while contributing to socio-economic growth. During his visit, he emphasized that AFRICOM's strategy goes beyond purely military collaborations. It integrates civilian partnerships aimed at addressing the root causes of instability, promoting good governance, and fostering sustainable development. The general's program in Kenya was extensive. He held important meetings with top government officials, including President William Ruto and cabinet secretaries, showcasing the depth of the military cooperation. One of the highlights of his visit was the inauguration of the newly renovated Manda Bay airstrip in Lamu. This facility is strategically vital for the 150th Field Artillery Brigade, providing them with an improved platform for their logistical missions. In addition to infrastructure, General Langley's visit included a tour of the Africa-America Military Clinic at Camp Simba. This initiative reflects AFRICOM's commitment to collaborative healthcare, offering medical services to both U.S. troops and members of the Kenya Defense Forces. However, General Langley's statements regarding the situation in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger appear to have caused offense and sparked a diplomatic storm, especially in Mali, where he expressed concerns about the presence of Russian mercenaries. He stated, "We have serious concerns about reports that there may be up to 10,000 Russian mercenaries in Mali and up to 5,000 in Burkina Faso, and about 1,000 in Niger. We want to get them out, because they do not belong." These remarks were viewed by Malian authorities as an infringement on the country's sovereignty and an attempt to justify external military intervention. Mali's foreign ministry responded by summoning the U.S. ambassador, underscoring the gravity of the situation. The Malian government's statement read, "Such declarations coming from a high US military official, are likely to aggravate the situation in the Sahel and jeopardize the efforts of the Malian state to restore peace and security in the north of the country. This isn't the first time AFRICOM has courted controversy in Africa. Critics often view the command as a neo-colonial structure that perpetuates the exploitation of African resources and labor for the benefit of Western powers. For instance, the 2020 Camp Simba attack and the subsequent retaliatory airstrikes by the US military resulted in the deaths of dozens of Somali civilians. Many Africans perceive this as emblematic of a wider pattern of disregard for African lives and sovereignty. Moreover, the continued stationing of US military personnel at Nairobi's Jomo Kenyatta International Airport has raised eyebrows. Some see this as a tactic to increase American influence in the region, potentially at the expense of Kenya's national interest. It seems that every move AFRICOM makes is met with a wave of skepticism, making General Langley's visits to Africa a sort of diplomatic tightrope walk. Nevertheless, General Langley appears undeterred. During his visit to Kenya, he reiterated the importance of bilateral cooperation, emphasizing that Kenya's stability is crucial not only for itself but also for the wider region. He also addressed the elephant in the room, acknowledging past mistakes and emphasizing the need for mutual respect moving forward. Despite these efforts, a segment of the African population views AFRICOM's presence as a threat to continental unity and sovereignty. In their perspective, the strengthening of military ties between individual African nations and Western powers is seen as a strategy to contain China's growing influence. This sentiment is particularly strong in areas like the Sahel, where anti-French and anti-American protests have been on the rise. In Mali, for example, the 2020 military coup that ousted the government was partly fueled by public anger, France's perceived meddling in domestic affairs and its failure to contain the security crisis. Similarly, in Burkina Faso, where a second coup occurred in just 8 months, citizens took to the streets, chanting slogans against both France and the United States. These sentiments are echoed by many African leaders who advocate for a more united front in the face of external pressures. South Africa's former president, Thabo Mbeki, has been particularly vocal on the issue. He has consistently called for African countries to unite and resist attempts to divide them along geopolitical lines. Mbeki's call to action is clear. He wants Africa to present a united front to the world, free from the shackles of neocolonialism and foreign manipulation. Yet, despite these calls for unity, some African countries continue to forge ahead with hosting US military bases. This includes countries like Senegal, where plans are underway to establish a logistics hub in the capital city of Dakar. The proposed hub aims to serve as a base for US drones, complicating the security landscape of West Africa. This apparent contradiction in strategy has left many questioning the true motives behind the establishment of US military bases in Africa. Are African nations genuinely seeking to bolster their defense capabilities? Or are they being lured into a new form of dependency and control? As General Langley continues his mission to strengthen ties between AFRICOM and African nations, he faces an uphill task, winning over the hearts and minds of the African populace. The memories of past exploitative practices and the lingering effects of colonialism run deep. It will take more than just promises of economic development and security to change this perception. AFRICOM's approach must evolve to prioritize African interests, respect national sovereignty, and acknowledge the agency of African nations in shaping their own futures. The presence of US military bases in Africa is undoubtedly a sensitive and controversial topic. It stirs a complex mix of emotions, from skepticism and distrust to fear and resentment. Many Africans view these bases as symbols of neocolonialism, a tactic to maintain control over the continent's vast resources and strategic locations. The question remains, how can AFRICOM bridge this divide and reshape its image in Africa? The path forward requires sensitivity, transparency, and a genuine commitment to collaboration. By embracing these principles, AFRICOM can work towards building trust and fostering mutually beneficial relationships that contribute to a more stable and prosperous Africa. On July, as part of his visit to Kenya, General Langley delivered remarks at the U.S. Embassy in Nairobi. In his speech, he touched upon a wide range of topics, including the 3D concept and initiatives such as the Africa-America Military Clinic at Camp Simba. But it was his comments on Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger that drew the most attention. General Langley expressed concern over the presence of Russian mercenaries in these countries, stating, "We have serious concerns about reports that there may be up to 10,000 Russian mercenaries in Mali and up to 5,000 in Burkina Faso and about 1,000 in Niger. We want to get them out because they do not belong." His remarks indicated a possible desire to counterbalance Russia's growing influence in the region. While General Langley did acknowledge past mistakes by the United States, such as coups and support for authoritarian regimes, he maintained that these actions were not driven by malice, but rather a desire for swift results. He stressed the need for mutual respect and understanding, advocating for open discussions about shared concerns rather than focusing solely on differences. During his visit, General Langley also emphasized the importance of women's participation in peace processes, highlighting the need for their inclusion and support. He also reaffirmed U.S. commitment to democratic values and human rights, pledging to work alongside African partners to uphold these principles. It remains to be seen how these sentiments will translate into tangible changes in U.S. policy, and whether they will help repair the damaged relationship between Africa and the West. As we wrap up this episode, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on General Langley's recent visit to Kenya and his overall strategy for engaging with Africa? Leave your comments down below, and let's engage in a thoughtful discussion. And remember to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss any of our insightful episodes. Thank you for watching. This is the Turbulence Media Group. Stay curious, and I'll see you next time.